Hey yo, it's episode 3 of the NASCAR Pit Stop Show, and it's going to be a shorter episode than what the last two were, but you know what? It's fine. The news topics that we have, it's better than nothing. So that's the save for sure. But as you can see, Sean is not here, unfortunately. He has some other personal issues. I mean, I wouldn't say personal issues, but other things going on in his side of everything he's got to tend to. But it's still got the three of us. You got me, obviously. You got Wyatt on my top right, and you got Taylor on the top left for me.
Hello.
Hey. Here.
So, like I said, we don't have a ton. We don't really have a whole lot to talk about, but these are actually, from what we've been able to gather, I mean, like, there's not a lot. There's really not a lot. But we're still going to talk about these anyway, so that way we can get some reactions and vice versa. So, to start off with some silly season updates, the most recent one, let's talk about the most recent one. Ty Gibbs is confirmed to go part-time in Xfinity this year while competing full-time for an ARCA title. And I really saw this happening. I was thinking about, like, if you've followed Joe Gibbs Racing on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, you probably would have already seen that they were teasing a new driver for their Xfinity lineup to drive part-time. And then the silhouette, I was thinking, that's got to be Ty Gibbs. It has to be Ty Gibbs. I'm not surprised if they go for Ty Gibbs. And guess what? Lo and behold, news comes out as of, January 26th, that he's the driver of the 54. Well, for part-time, that is. But seeing as how I'm not surprised by this at all, even though this is actually good for Ty, I want to get your guys' input. Were you surprised when JGR announced the driver of the 54? I mean, well, the driver lineup, the addition to the driver lineup of the 54. Or were you not surprised by that? Were you surprised by that? And how do you think Ty's going to do part-time in the 54?
I will say this, though. I'm in between because when I found out, it surprised me, but yet at the same time, it kind of didn't. And I watched Eric Estep's video a bit, and he made good points like that. He's going to do pretty good in his part-time in Xfinity Series because he was part-time in the ARCA Series, and he's won so many races. He's going to go back full-time and go for a championship in ARCA Series. I see he's going. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets it. I think Ty Gibbs is going to be a great contender. And for the Xfinity Series, his first debut at the Daytona Road Course, I think he's going to do pretty good. He's going to be a competitor. I'll say this: I'm more surprised about one driver who's driving the 54 besides Ty Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Truex Jr. I saw was going to be going back
Really?
in Xfinity racing. I'm not kidding. I look back on NASCAR.com. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr.
Wow.
So I'm actually more interested to see Martin Truex Jr. more than Ty Gibbs.
Not surprised by that whatsoever. But no, that's really good news.
I see him doing well. I don't know we have no clue besides the Daytona Road Course what tracks he's doing, but it wouldn't surprise me if he like ran top 10 those races, maybe top 5, maybe top 3, top 5, top 3, maybe go for a win. I don't know. Well, we don't, but I think he's going to be pretty good. Martin Truex Jr. is going to be what I keep my eyes on the 54 because he hasn't gone to an Xfinity Series ride since like what? Won his last championship back in 05, I believe.
Probably. Actually, no. No, he was in the Xfinity Series somewhere around, as far as I can remember, like 2008.
Okay, then I may be wrong, but just you get my
Yeah.
point. He hasn't been in Xfinity Series ride in a good little bit.
Yeah.
So I so this is going to surprise me on how well he does in Xfinity more than Ty Gibbs. Taylor?
Mm, well, kind of surprised at the Ty Gibbs up there in Xfinity already. But at the same time, it's kind of not. But I mean, I think he's gonna be competitive and probably have a pretty nice part-time season. And who knows, maybe he'll even pull out a win somehow. But I mean, he's gonna have really good equipment underneath him, so. I mean, if he can do what he did in ARCA last year, just doing part time, he's going to have a really good part time season in that 54 car.
Here's what I think. As far as Ty Gibbs in the 54, do I really see him winning? No. I don't think he's ready to win an Xfinity just yet, even though he's at the point in ARCA where, because if you go back to last year in ARCA, he was part-time. I think he only didn't race in 5 events, and he managed to win. No. I think he won 5 races and was third in points. He very well could have won the title if he won a few more races. He very well
But
could have.
add on to what you're saying, some of the tracks he wasn't even old enough to drive at.
That's
He wasn't even
probably
old enough. So think about that while you're saying that. Here's
exactly.
some tracks he has not even attempted, and he's old enough to drive. Daytona is one of them.
Yeah.
So I still think he may have a shot at some of these tracks, and he may end up getting title in ARCA. But when you get to like Xfinity, there's more too. So
The difference
I know,
between ARCA and Xfinity is competition. In ARCA, it's
yeah,
very, very, very laid back at times. In Xfinity, at times laid back, but you see more of that aggression with the drivers and vice versa, because they're there to go for wins. They're not there to just go over there and get track time. They're there for wins. So they're obviously going to race as hard as they possibly can and probably race their guts out. Whereas ARCA, it's laid back. The competition is so laid back and it's so chill. Like you barely are able to race people, and that's kind of the downer. Unless if it's a short track, then you get to race. But as far as like any other track is concerned, it's very unlikely that you'll get a very good competitive race out of an ARCA field, unless if it's a short track. That's just my thoughts on that. But as far as Ty Gibbs goes, I mean, for this year in ARCA this year, since he's going full time and is going to go for a title, I'd say it's probably going to be an easy grab. As far as his Xfinity run, I really don't see him winning. I only see him getting as far up as getting a top 5. That's really all I see out of this. So, I mean, that's all. That's really all I think. So, moving on to some other silly season notes. As far as what I can see, Timothy Peters is going to be driving for Rackley War. Honestly, I've never heard of this team before. I think this is probably a newly formed team. I have no clue. But
probably.
he's going to be driving the number 25 truck this year. I think they're going full time. I haven't heard anything other than they are racing in the truck series this year. So, I mean, it's good to see Timothy Peters back in the trucks, hopefully full time. But as far as the performance of the team, I have no clue how they're going to run this year. They may have some alliance with GMS, possibly. There's a possibility that could be the case, but I don't know. Moving on forward. Here's some more good news. Some more silly season updates. Well, this goes back to the Xfinity series, and I think this actually is pretty good. just in my opinion. I think you guys might agree as well, unless if you have any other thoughts on this. But JD Motorsports has officially signed Landon Castle back to full-time competition, driving the number 4 car for JD. And this honestly is great news. I'm happy to see that Landon Castle's back in Xfinity, especially with JD Motorsports, because he has raced with them in the past. So this is probably going to be a familiar territory for Landon, and I think he's going to do pretty solid this year. Wouldn't you guys agree?
I would say so. I've never really seen a lot of Landing Castle racing all the time, so him getting a full time ride's pretty good. And also that on just like this today, Ryan Burgess.
Hmm.
I believe his name was, but he also JD's bringing some good competition drivers. So I mean, Ross Chastain was there, and look at him now. He's going cup. He did stay in Xfinity a little bit, had to move around to Chip Ganassi in Xfinity, but he did get a start there. So who knows by some of these drivers?
Yeah.
Landon Castle's an old veteran. He may just try to bounce around, try to get back in the Cup Series. Who knows? Taylor?
Well, I mean, Landon Castle, with the experience that he's got in Xfinity and Cup, I mean, you look at what he did when he was driving that '89 car for Morgan Shepherd. I mean, he was up there running the top 15 with that thing. So, I would not be surprised to see Landon Castle be competitive at some tracks this year. I mean, he's going to have some solid equipment underneath him. So, I think he's going to be able to have a pretty decent season. So, I think it was a good signing for JD Motorsports, bringing somebody like that in there.
All right. So one final silly season update that I want to bring up, and this actually is pretty big as far as smaller teams goes. But everybody knows about Jordan Anderson and Jordan Anderson Racing, of how they've been super good in trucks. Well, news broke out, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that Jordan Anderson is bringing his team full time to the Xfinity Series. He's going to be driving the 31 this year. Bommarito, all the other sponsors that we've seen on his truck are now going to be put on his Xfinity car. So, this is really big, because I think Jordan has been working super hard on his, not just his race team, but also getting his trucks good. But now I think his focus is going to be shift over to Xfinity, and now he's going to get his Xfinity cars prepped up and working, and hopefully in good condition, actually race for probably top 20s, possibly top 15s, maybe top 10s if you want to get that far. So we'll see what happens. But as far as your guys' reactions, when you heard about Jordan Anderson going full-time in Xfinity with his own team, what were the thoughts that were going through your mind?
I think he's an okay driver. He did pretty good in the truck series. He almost won. He almost won his first truck race at the last year's truck series Daytona 500 to Daytona 5. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
The truck series version of the Daytona 500. Let's just say, and he almost won, but got beat out by Grant Enfinger. He's one of those teams in the back, but maybe we've seen this happen between some truck drivers driving trucks and then some Xfinity drivers. I mentioned this a couple episodes back, but if Jordan Anderson would not surprise me if he end up being top 5, top 10 with his new team. Mm-hmm. And also, every time I see the 31, I never really watched the Xfinity series or Nationwide series, but I remember Justin Allgaier drove a 31 with a different team. And I feel like that's the same. It looks kind of like the same font, so that's going to make me think. Time I see him, Justin Allgaier, to be honest.
Turner Scott nostalgia.
Oh yeah.
Here's the irony: the name initials backwards. Think about that. Justin Allgaier, Jordan Anderson. Yeah, Justin Allgaier. No, they're the same. No, wait.
They're both the
Justin
same.
Allgaier. Yeah, still same. Same initials. Same number car.
Right. Different
Yeah, this is good.
team, different sponsors, different mostly everything.
Yeah, yeah, but same initials, same number car. I feel every time I see it, I'm going to think Justin Allgaier for some damn reason.
This is Justin Allgaier's twin brother.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
Uh,
Taylor, what you got?
oh man. Well, I when I saw the news that that was happening, I was kind of shocked because I did not expect Jordan Anderson to really be going up to Xfinity this year. But I mean, with him having his own team, I think it will be interesting to see what kind of year they have with their first year in Xfinity, and it'll be interesting to see how they run and how fast their cars are going to be and everything. So, I mean, I think he can have a pretty decent season, and with him almost winning Daytona last year in the trucks, I mean, he seemed like he's a pretty good plate racer, so he might be able to pull out a win on a plate track.
He could, actually. He has the capability of doing that. And then, obviously, it showed last year. Okay, so now that we've gotten some of the silly season updates out of the way.
Can I do one real quick?
Yeah.
Because for Jimmy Me Racing, or Me Racing, I don't remember what number he is, but Greg Gong will be going back to Xfinity Series, and we'll be replacing Cody Vanderwall
Oh,
after he said that he will not be returning to the team this season.
interesting. Very, very interesting. So, let's talk about the livery, or basically the livery on the Gen-7 race car. So, they revealed this a few days ago, and what it looks like that they're gonna go with for next year is the sponsors on the doors, and then the numbers on, like, kind of pushed to the back, closer to the rear wheels, kind of like what they did with the All-Star race last year. I think it's gonna be a little bit different for next year. Honestly, I don't know about it. It's kind of because I've been so used to seeing the number on the doors, and then honestly, the sponsors on the side, like on the quarter panels, vice versa. You get the picture. But seeing as how this is the direction that they're probably gonna stick with, and they're probably gonna go. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure that I'm fully behind this. Um, so I'm gonna turn to you guys. Do you like the livery that we've seen on the Gen-7 car, and are you guys behind this?
I'm just going to put this out here. If you look at the tire area, you can see there's not just going to be one big lug nut. We're going to have five lug nuts again, which is pretty good.
Mm.
And looking back at that, I'm not a fan. I could say right now, I'm not going to be a fan of that period because, like you said, I've watched enough NASCAR clips and just watched the much NASCAR I have right now to know that's not a good. That's not going. I'm with you. I'm not used to seeing that either. So all that it looked good. It looked 50-50 for the All Star race, but just
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel. feel about this. I think most fans just worried about the lug nut thing more than the where the number's going to be.
Yeah.
Which I hope we mention something else about numbers. I have a good deal to talk about there on
Oh,
a
okay.
certain number,
Oh.
but we'll get to that bridge. Anyways, but yeah, what do you say about Taylor?
Oh, well, if they do wind up moving the number of the race cars back like they did for the All Star race, that most definitely will take some getting used to. Um, I mean, it was kind of weird seeing that in the All Star race last year with them moving the numbers where they did and how they moved the sponsors around and everything else. So, I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see if they do make that permanent. But I mean, also it's going to be interesting with just that one big lug nut like Wyatt was mentioning, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the tire changes are going to work now and how all the pit stops are going to go now with them going to one big lug nut now on these new Gen-7 cars.
Whoa, hold on, wait, hold on, no. What I said was that they're not doing the one big lug nut. I back. They still have five. I didn't say they were doing one. I'm glad that they're doing one lug nut. That was still five.
Oh, jeez.
Rumored to have been one lug nut, but there's not. There's still going to be five. There's still going to be a regular five lug nuts.
That's actually pretty good. So, before we move on to the last topic, Wyatt, you said something about a certain number. Spill the beans.
I know. I may have a couple. Either last week or something. I don't remember when this was told, but we know that Austin Cindric will be making a run, trying to go for the duels at the Daytona 500. We're trying to go for the Daytona 500. This, I'm glad he's going for Daytona 500, but Penske, what the hell were you thinking? Okay, why I say this, then he's going to be driving a number, think about this, it's Penske, a number 33 for the duels.
It's an
Not, not,
interesting selection for a number. I mean, of all teams that that could have went with 33, it was Team Penske. Honestly, I'm with you. It's really out of place, but I wonder if that was the only other option that they could go with is 33. It's like, oh, 33 right there. Maybe if they probably brought this like cuz you have the 00. They could bring back like the O2. They could have brought back the O2, but
that's what I was
33.
thinking.
That's I mean,
Heck,
it's out of place to see a 33 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, but it's an interesting selection at the same time. But still,
you mean Penske.
for
You mean Penske.
for what did I say?
The Joe Gibbs Racing.
Oh. Well, I mean, it would still be an interesting selection for Joe Gibbs Racing anyway, but for Penske, yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, but the scheme though for Cindric, I mean, it's cool. It looks very basic. At first, I was like, what is that? And then it took me a second to actually like, kind of like, actually get used to the scheme. It was like, oh, that's actually not too bad for a Verizon scheme, because I don't think I've ever seen a Verizon scheme on a cup car in a long time.
They, yeah, I heard that they haven't done it in a while, but just the car looks good. I just hate the number.
Yeah,
I honestly hate the number. And the funny thing is, Go Fast Racing's not even attempting the Daytona 500, so they could have gotten the 32. I would have been okay with 32, but they or an O2, just or any car that had a two at the end. Just what
yeah.
the hell?
They
It didn't even seem right with Sam Hornish Jr. drove a 77 back. I don't remember the year,
like
2012.
08, 09,
Wait, oh
2010.
09. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Just I've seen that. Just what the hell? Also, to add on to the second thing I was bringing up, the iRacing series is back.
That's right. They are back, which is an amazing thing. So,
For they're doing it for 10 races, 5 on Fox, the other 5 on NBC. The 5 races in the beginning that's going to be shown up. The first race, I'm not even sure how I feel about this one. Bristol Dirt,
hmm.
the first race.
Bristol Dirt.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
an
not.
odd selection for a season opener.
I know, right?
Daytona is pretty understandable, but Bristol Dirt. We may need to call up the person that made the schedule and just be like, Bristol Dirt? Really? Probably. So, speaking of NBC, this brings us to the main event. The one thing that I don't think any of us saw coming that probably just came out of left field, but NBCSN, or NBC Sports Network, will be shutting down either, I don't know if this was later this year or by the end of the year, but either way, they're
I
shutting
think it
down.
said by the end of the year.
Probably the end of the year, but either way, NBCSN is shutting down, and a lot of sporting like company and National Hockey League, football, I think maybe football, I don't know, but even including NASCAR, they're all shifting over to USA Network later on. And this is actually for NASCAR. This is the first time that they're going to be on USA since 2016 when they were doing the Olympics. So with this news in mind, is actually, I think this really shocked me that NBC is actually shutting down NBCSN. So with that in mind, when you heard about this news, what were your reactions?
I don't even know what to say about this because, like, I heard about that and I just, for me, I don't have some. I don't have a lot of the channels on. Like, I have cable. I don't have like some of that. I did a show where moms that got a network on, put on big screen, yada yada yada. But I don't think I have that channel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I have the USA channel on there. That's what's gonna make me concerned a whole lot. Cause like that that's gonna be something. Cause like I'm not even sure if cable has that. So if it moves there, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to watch it.
USA
That
is a cable network.
it is the cable network.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what channel it is. If it's a cable network, then I may be fine. If there's
What
like another
um what TV provider do you have?
uh on here, I just have cable. I don't know what TV providers on cable. Just have
Oh,
an antenna.
all right.
But
So I
well,
guess I would suppose if you did have DirecTV, which I don't know if you do actually,
well,
the channel I think is
well,
242.
well. I'll say this. I know my mom has like stuff, and I use that. Like get on like NBCSN, Fox Sports.
Yeah.
Thing is, I don't know if it is that channel. So that's my main concern on
Yeah.
that. But I can be fine with just regular NBC. Just the USA channel kind of worries me. That's
Okay.
all my concern. I'm not sure why NBC's shutting them down. I think it's kind of stupid to be honest, but just I don't know. Taylor?
Well, that I think was a big surprise to a lot of people that they were going to shut down and move a lot of things to different channels and everything. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see how it goes, moving it over to the other networks and everything that they're going to be moving everything over to and everything. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
Yeah. Honestly, this actually, it sucks, but I think this is a pretty questionable decision, if anything. But either way, I mean, NASCAR, regardless if NBCSN is there or not, it's gonna have a new home. I mean, for cable. The one thing I'm gonna miss about NBCSN is poking fun at the NBCSN abbreviations, like nothing but commercials, nothing but commercials, nothing but commercials, nothing but commercials. Sometimes NASCAR. I remember that. That's one thing that's gonna stick with me for a while. Jeez.
Now, one more thing before we end this. You already.
Hmm.
Because
But
I'm guessing by the time this airs, it's going to be Friday, and then then tomorrow on that day is, I don't know the time, but the Rolex.
I've looked up times for the Rolex 24. It's supposed to start at 3:40 p.m. Eastern.
So
So
for
2:40.
me,
So
that would be 2:40 for me.
2:40 for you, 1:40 for anybody in the Mountain Time Zone, and then 12:40 in Pacific. So, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch the Rolex 24 or even react to the first 4 or 6 hours to it or the last 4 or 6 hours to it. But I think it. I don't think anything should. I don't think the Rolex 24 this year will be any different from last year or any previous year. It's going to be no different. We're still going to see the same type of road course racing, the same type of endurance racing, either way. But that's not NASCAR stuff. But
Yeah,
got,
I know. I just had to bring that up because it did have some
yeah,
NASCAR drivers in there.
like Johnson, Chase,
Elliott,
yeah.
Austin Dillon.
Of all people that Austin Dillon decided to go with for this year's Rolex, it was Rick Ware Racing. That's an interesting selection, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But best of luck to those drivers that are taking part in the Rolex tomorrow, which again starts at 3:40 Eastern over here in the Eastern Time Zone, 2:40 Central, 1:40 Mountain Time, 12:40 Pacific. So it's gonna migrate onto different channels as the Rolex 24 goes on. Pretty obvious if you've watched it before and if you kept up with it. But still, either way, as far as NBCSN is shutting down is concerned, the one thing I'm gonna miss, like I said, is poking fun at the song and also the abbreviation. But yeah, it's sucky, but it's also a really questionable decision altogether. Okay, so with that, I think we got everything. Except Taylor, you don't need to do that. But anyways, that's gonna do it for episode 3 of the NASCAR Pit Stop Show. I wanted to thank you guys a lot for watching. If you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you have not considered subscribing yet, I recommend you do so to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. And that about does it for me. On behalf of Wyatt Walker and Zachary Taylor, I'm Elijah Leonard, and then I'll see you in the next one.
Nothing but commercials, nothing but commercials.